Hello. So today we are talking about In Living Color, the popular TV show, the classic TV show that was on for 5 seasons and starred Keenan Ivory Wayans, Damon Wayans, Kim Wayans, Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, Tommy Davidson, David Allen Greer, yada, yada, yada. Many stellar comedic actors came from that ensemble cast. And so I came across this book, Homey Don't Play That, the story of In Living Color and the Black Comedy Revolution. And this is kind of an older book. It came out back in 18 or so. Yes, 2018, but I just happened to see it recently, and so I borrowed it from my library, and it had a lot of interesting details about the behind the scenes that was going on with that groundbreaking sketch show. Hello, my name is Tamika, and whether you stumbled upon Junkie for a Story or are here by intention, thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please give it a like and subscribe by the end. And don't forget to hit the bell for notifications so you won't miss out whenever I release new videos. Also, there will be a link in the description for the book I mentioned in this video, Homey Don't Play That by David Peisner. If you want more information about the book, you know what to do. And now, on to the video. I remember watching it in the 90s, and I loved it when it first came out, but I remember kind of falling off around season 4 or something, somewhere around there. I remember not watching it all the way up until it was no longer on the air. So now I learned what happened behind the scenes. And I didn't even realize that Keenan he left the show. I think it said in season 4. I didn't even realize he had left, but that may have been before I stopped watching. After I stopped watching that he left. So you learn a lot about how Keenan built this show into what it became, and then you learn the struggles he went through to keep it the way he envisioned it from the beginning. And it was quite contentious, the relationship between him and the producers and the network. So he was going through a lot, which I was a little bit surprised by, considering it was on Fox, and Fox at that time was still a fairly new network. So, and they didn't have much programming. But I don't know. What do I know? But anyway, you learn about the ins and outs and the ups and downs that went on behind the scenes. But one thing that surprised me was the battle between the two Kims. So there was Kim Wayans, who obviously she's a part of the Wayans family, but she is also a talented writer and comedic actress. And apparently Kim Coles, who I forgot she was on in Living Color. I know her from Living Single, her playing Sinclair. But she was on in Living Color for the first season. And then she abruptly got fired 2 weeks before they were set to shoot the second season. And when you read how she perceived that firing, you learn that there's kind of some resentment going on there and some blame that she's targeting at Kim Wayans. And I was so disappointed to learn that. I hate to see that. But yeah, apparently the two Kims have a situation going on. Kim Coles talks about her time In Living Color. She came in for the audition and she was feeling kind of a little insecure. She said she had just lost some weight, but it seemed like she wasn't really sure of herself, the way she tells her audition story. And then, so she wasn't quite sure if she got the job or not. And then Keenan was working with the network and they kind of weren't letting him know. I mean, it took a while for him to get the green light that, they can go on with shooting the pilot. And so then when they did get the green light, Kim Coles was one of the people who got the call to shoot the pilot. Correction, she got the call to shoot the episodes for the first season. And then she's not a writer. She admits she's not a writer. Now, Kim Wayans is a writer. And so Coles was talking about her one season that she did with In Living Color. And she said at a certain point she could feel that she was always in contention with Kim Wayans, for roles. Now, again, I completely forgot she was in Living Color. So that says something. I mean, she didn't really stand out, but because she kept talking about how she would always have to go up against Kim Wayans for different roles, I had to go back and look at In Living Color to be like, what is she talking about? Because I truly forgot she was in it. So I rewatched the first season, and she's all up in the first season. Kim Coles, that is. And not only is she in the first season, but she's even in some sketches with Kim Wayans. So when she makes this argument that, it's there was something in here. Let me see. So one of the chapters is named, the running joke was if your last name's not Wayans, you didn't have a shot. Now, I think that's kind of unfair because, I mean, there were a lot of Wayans. We can't deny that there were a lot of Wayans on the show, okay? But at the same time, it wasn't like they were untalented siblings that just got on because they were related to Keenan, okay? I mean, you had Damon, who was one of the funniest on that show, okay? I mean, where would that show be without Damon Wayans, okay? And then again, you had Kim Wayans. Again, where would that show be without Kim Wayans? And then who else? I mean, Keenan wasn't, as far as on camera, he wasn't on camera a lot. He didn't take up a lot of the acting parts. He was more of a producer, writer, and overseer of the operation, But as far as the first season, it was mainly Damon and Kim, right? So when they had this argument hinting at nepotism, I mean, there were a lot of other standout actors, Now, I will say Tommy Davidson didn't quite come into his own at that point. He had some funny skits, but he wasn't as funny as he became eventually. So there's that. But again, there's David Allen Greer. He was hilarious the first season. Now, Jim Carrey, it took a while to get his comedy. He's a little more on the physical side with his comedy. But, I mean, some of it was funny, some of it wasn't. But, I mean, it represented a first season, especially with a sketch comedy show. It represented a good, solid first season. There was some great ones, some good ones, and then some average sketches. But I didn't look at it as it was all the Wayans. I feel like everyone had their opportunities to shine and showcase their talents. So Kim Coles was talking about how, everything was going to Kim Wayans. And then at one point, there was one scene where she felt like that role should have easily gone to her. I forgot which one. Let me see. Oh, okay. So it was the one where the skit is called Too Ethnic. And Kim Coles wanted to play Jackie. So it was a spoof on the popular TV show 227. And Kim Coles felt like, okay, I'm the same complexion. I've got the shape, the height. Like, it's a no-brainer. I should play Jackie. And if you're just looking at her, yeah, I would say it is a no-brainer. She should have played Jackie. But if you look at her performances throughout season 1, she just wasn't that funny. So anyway, the role went to Kim Wayans. And so I don't know if Kim Coles was talking about it after the fact, or if she was aware of it when it happened. But Keenan was saying Kim Wayans was the one who wrote the sketch, because again, she's a writer and she's in the writer's room at the table with the other writers. So she wrote this sketch, it sounds like, with other writers. And then Keenan said, whoever writes the sketch, they're going to be the one who, plays that role. And then he also said that Kim Wayans, his sister, would do that sketch all the time in her comedy, I guess. So it just, he wouldn't take it away from his sister, who created that, as part of her own comedy before In Living Color. And then she's writing the sketch with the writers. Like, why would he take that away from his own sister? But also, just why would you take that away from the person who created it to give it to Kim Coles, So that was his argument. And Kim Coles, it sounded like I don't know if she was aware that Kim Wayans had already worked on this, it sounds like, on the road in stand-up or something. And then she just expanded on it for that sketch. So I don't know if she just didn't believe that, or if she was even told that at the time. I'm not sure, but she wanted that role. But when I saw it, much like with the other sketches, Kim Coles comes across a bit forgettable. Like, she kind of, in most of the sketches, even with the Love Connection sketch, where she's playing Robin Givens and she went out on a date with Mike Tyson and then they just abruptly got married, right? So even in that one, she just comes across like the pretty girl, she's just laughing and smiling and, being cute. But she never really, stands out. So I don't know. Kim Coles talks about how she, after seeing that Kim Wayans was getting a lot of the good roles, how she perceived it, she then went to the writers and gave them a list of characters that she plays. But what it sounds like, just from reading how the sketches were created and written, it sounds like it was easier to work with Kim Wayans and develop her ideas because she was also a writer and actor in the room. Whereas with Kim Coles, she's just giving the writers a list of ideas, and they're going to have to start from scratch to come up and build a story and sketch for Kim Coles. So when you read the story, they talked about how they were working, till 2-3 o'clock in the mornings often, and one person called it a slave shift. And when they moved on to another show, they were relieved, okay? Because it does sound like a show that was trying to make its mark, but hadn't done it yet. It was still trying to get established and build a viewership. So they were working late nights, okay? So I'm just thinking, just from reading this account, that if you're a writer and you got somebody who's an actor and writer, and they come to you with an idea, you're more inclined to work on that idea because, you can go back and forth with that actor, writer to create that idea. Whereas with Kim Coles, you're going to have to start from scratch. She's not going to provide no help as far as the writing. That's how it came across, So if they're already working 2 and 3 in the morning, I don't see them wanting to write a story from scratch for Kim Coles, And it just sounds like a lot of the people, Damon Wayans was also a writer as well. The ones who did well on that show, as far as the actors, were the ones who helped out with the sketches, with writing and creating those sketches, That's what it sounds like. And again, I mean, Kim Coles, she was, even on In Living Single, she was funny, but she wasn't that funny. She wasn't hysterical, okay? She's not the one that you're like running to watch, So I don't know. And I'm not sure if they ever did clear things up, her and Kim Wayans, but Kim Wayans, she made it clear that she didn't see things that way. It wasn't that she had an advantage because she was a Wayans. She felt like, she was part of the writing team. She contributed ideas and worked on the writing of those sketches. So why would she go out of her way to help somebody else if they're not putting in the effort, And then when Kim Coles got fired, Keenan said he felt like she just wasn't giving it her all. And eventually that negativity started to spill over into the cast. And I think he made some comment about how it was affecting the cast as well, Kim Coles' negativity. And so he wanted to nip it in the bud before it got out of hand. So he told her, it's time for you to go. You don't really want to be here. And so why stick around, But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there is a case for nepotism. Obviously, there's a lot of Wayans a part of that show. But still, they're also talented. So when you talk about nepotism, I mean, you got to acknowledge the talent as well, So there's that. Because even when Damon left, at one point, I think Damon left in the first season, and then he came back. I can't remember if it was the second or which season, but he came back as, I don't know if it was a full cast member or what, but because when he left, he took his characters with him. So they couldn't use his characters at all in Living Color, which means Homey Don't Play That and Homeboy Shopping Network and all of that stuff. They couldn't do nothing with it, And then when he came back, they paid him some good money to bring those characters back. And yeah, when I just can't see In Living Color without the Wayans, because they really did contribute. It wasn't like they were just siblings who got a shot because their brother was Keenan, but they shouldn't have been on the show. You know what I mean? Like, if that was the case, then the argument about nepotism would be more valid, But because if you take out the Wayans sketches, okay, just anything that they were in, it would not be a good show. I'm just going to put that out there. It would not. But as far as the relationship between the two Kims, Kim Coles said, I have since seen Kim Wayans and she has apologized to me for the way I was treated. So that was powerful. And then as far as Keenan, she said, when faced with it years later, he said, I had to let you go. I knew you were going to be fine. That might be a line, or that might be the most gracious thing he has ever done or said to me. I'm grateful for it. So, I mean, yeah, she landed on her feet. She got living single. Yeah. I don't really think sketch comedy is the right fit for Kim Coles, if I'm being honest. But the fact that Kim Wayans did apologize, it sounds like something did happen. She acknowledges there was maybe some unfair treatment. So, yeah. But if we're talking about who provided the better comedy, I'm going to say that would be Kim Wayans, okay? All right, so, yeah. That is it with the two Kims, okay? I'm glad they worked it out like grown women, though, and they don't speak bad about each other. It didn't become one of those situations, But, yeah, so I would recommend this book, Homey Don't Play That. And if you're interested in what went on behind the scenes, but it also tells a lot of history about TV and Black comedy as a whole. So you wouldn't just get the In Living Color history, you get history about Black comedians entering TV for the first time. It talks about the Richard Pryor sketch show that was on NBC. It talks about Fred Wilson is some comedian who got a TV show. Okay, you know what? I can't think of the person's name. Was it Flip Wilson? I think Flip Wilson is the name. Okay, it talks about him and, I don't know if it was I can't say it's the first wave, but like in the 90s, there was like this new energy around Black comedians getting TV shows. But anyway, this is getting too long. So I'm going to wrap this up. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, comment, subscribe if you choose. And I will provide a link in the description if you want more information about this book. But yeah, there was a mention of when In Living Color went off the air, people were calling, well, it wasn't just In Living Color, it was a lot of Black comedy shows that just was taken off the air. And especially with Fox, because again, Fox was fairly new as a network at that time. And some people felt like they used Black comedians and Black actors and writers to get Fox Network started and established. And then once they made enough of a profit and had a reliable viewership, then they ditched all the Black shows. And someone referred to it as plantation programming. Okay. You know, this is not the first time they have used Black people to, you know, stack some money, and then once they made their stacks, they were done, okay? This is not the first time we heard of that. So, yeah. Anyway, it's an interesting read. I enjoyed it. I would highly recommend it if you are interested in something like that. I'm going to get out of here, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.